Here we go. On this Friday, made it to Friday. Welcome to the SportsCage. Barney Shynkurak and the Seas today. But a number of guests will join us on this journey for the next 3 hours. We're going to recap what happened last night at the Cooperator Center. C6, we got a provincial champion in the Regina Pat Canadians as they sweep the Moose Jaw Winmar Warriors, and now they're off to regionals. We're going to recap that in moments. SJHL playoffs continued tonight on a number of different fronts. We'll run down who and where everyone's playing there. The Western Hockey League finally getting going on the playoff front. We had our predictions earlier this week. We'll recap that. Ford World Men's Curling Championships. We just heard the commercial before. Starts tomorrow. It's already here in Moose Jaw at the Temple Gardens Center. Team Canada with Regina's favorite son, I guess we can call him, Benny Hebert. We will talk to the skip of Team Canada, Brad Jacobs. I had a chance to interview him earlier. Great guy. Like I said yesterday when Sharky was here, Brad Jacobs is the guy that you want to go on a long road trip? You want to go on a golf trip? Seems like a dude. So Brad Jacobs, will hear that in about 20 minutes' time. Hour 2, Farhan Lalji from TSN will come on over. Really curious to chat about the final salary cap numbers for the 2024 season. BC, $347. Let's just call it $348,000 over the salary cap. Is that a lot? I think it is. Should you win if you are that far over the salary cap? What do you have to show for it? Toronto, $87,000. They hung a banner. They have a championship trophy, so that's probably worth it there. Our Saskatchewan Rough Riders, not bad. $40,000 over. And the Ottawa Red Blacks, $22,000 over. I didn't say, I just as an observer, outsider, I wouldn't have thought Ottawa would have been over. But they are. Farhan Lalji. We'll talk about that. There's also some forfeited first and second round selections in this year's CFL draft that are changing hands. Farhan will have everything we need there. Clutch performer. Sharky told the story yesterday about Eli Johnson from the Regina Pat Canadians in Game 2 in Assiniboia and his skate issue. I actually asked Eli about it last night after the game. It's an awesome story. It is so Saskatchewan. So we'll hear that in the Clutch Performer. Cody Janzen from the Saskatchewan Rush and the World Hockey Report will join us in hour 2. The Rush looking to pack the barn next week in their home game. Hour 3, WHL insider Jon Keen will come by. Want to pick Keener's brain on the expansion with Penticton, which we knew was coming, but then also about Chilliwack. Chilliwack's mayor kind of backtracking today. Colson, you've been following that probably more than anyone in this room. He wanted to stand with the Junior A team, and so he didn't show up to the press conference. Is that right?
Yeah, so he's an avid supporter of their BCHL team.
Understandable.
Yeah, and didn't feel like the move for a WHL expansion team was the right direction. Mm-hmm. That's his own personal opinion. He is clarifying today, and that is not the opinion of council, because of course they're going forward with this. Mm-hmm. So that's basically the story there, is he didn't attend the press conference on Tuesday despite originally planning to or whatever. And then on Thursday, he's on a regular segment on their local radio show and said his reasoning for it, which was his personal reasoning. And in the segment, he says, I could be wrong. This could be the right move. But
maybe we'll play that clip maybe in hour one here, and then kind of tee it up for the listeners when Keener comes on, because it's interesting. I get it. You kind of want to stand with the team, the one that dance with the one that brought you, I guess. And the dub was there, and then they left. Now they're back. Snip, snap, snip, snap. Now they're back in. But if your city council is all on board, why are you going to tug the other way? Is it just a spite thing? Maybe he's really good friends with the owners of the Junior A team. Things are evolving, though, for sure. That BCJ, maybe Keener will have some insight on that. I'm very curious, and maybe not so much next year, but the next 2-3 years, what that league actually looks like. I think the SJ is going to be fine. I think the AJ is going to grow again. MJ will be fine. BCJ, I don't know. Unless they got another card to play. And some of those teams, well, Penticton was one of the teams. A lot of those teams have a lot of money, a lot of cash to throw around. Are they going to do anything maybe with the USHL kind of band together? I don't think that really works anymore with the whole NCAA thing and major junior players just being able to go play after playing major junior. So Jon Keen story in hour 3. Senior hockey report today. Monday Nooner guys aren't in. I'll just handle it. We're down to the short ones. Round Lake, Kenaston tomorrow, game 2. A chance for Round Lake to win the Provincial A banner on the Ochapowace First Nation at the Denton George Memorial Arena. It's going to be a big day. I suspect between 2,500 and 3,000 people will be at that game. And then Provincial D is still going. Redvers was about 700 and some kilometers. They're heading north to Edam. Up 1-0, so the town of Redvers could be partying all weekend. Qu'Appelle Valley Hockey League final goes tonight still. Long Lake, their league final, which everyone kind of forgot about, fires back up again. Drake's playing Foam Lake. Drake hasn't played since like January. I joked on the Nooner. Guys, their equipment won't fit. Feet will be pancaked. They've been wearing flip-flops. Get the skates back on. You got to play a league final. So the Monday Nooner Senior Hockey Report will come up in hour 3. And then Indigenous Athlete Spotlight, which is kind of tied into the senior hockey, which is kind of tied in to the Round Lake Bears going for a provincial banner. Colton Yellow Horn will join us. Yes, the Colton Yellow Horn, that was a prolific goal scorer in the Western Hockey League. Lethbridge Hurricanes. Then he went over to Tri-City. He's 37 years old. Pretty solid pro career as well. On this side of the pond, and then over in Europe as well. So Yellow, as they call him on the Round Lake Bears, will be key tomorrow as they try to hang the banner, and he'll be with us in hour 3. So that's basically the show for today. Prairieland Rentals text line. Prairieland Rentals and Sales. 600 Albert Street. If you got a big job, small job, doesn't matter. Prairieland Rentals and Sales can help you out. You get to deal with the owner. As soon as you walk in that door, he's usually always there. Again, 600 Albert Street. That number, 306-936-6262. We're already getting some messages in. We've got a clutch performer sent in already. Highway workers that have to go out and treat roads in bad weather. That's another thing. Send us in. If you, because we have listeners basically all over the province, usually text in. Let us know how the roads are. I heard up north, greasy. I just saw, I don't know, Colson, if you saw this one, the Edmonton Oil Kings rolled in. They made it to Prince Albert, and I had a picture of their bus, and they said, after a few snowy hours, we have arrived. And it looks like PA got dumped on. Seeing the videos of Edmonton and any of the highways around there, like the Stony Plain, the Highway 16A, it's like 8 semis jackknife. So if you're going that way, heads up. Let us know if you're out on the highway and anything that we should pass on to people with this storm, this band of weather that's coming in. And I don't know if like Regina is just skirting it. because it's been gloomy, cloudy. Looks like it's going to storm all day. But we haven't got much in the city of Regina. We're downtown, 12th and Rose. If you're at Bart's on Broad, you can hear us from there. That's where our studio is. So 936-6262, let people know. What does Justin Dunk always say? Be a friend, tell a friend? Something like that? It's a dunkism. SJHL tonight. Let's go to that before we go back to the AAA game. There are some interesting ones. Yorkton a chance to wrap things up with Melville back at home in Yorkton, up 3-1. That series has been tight. It could be 3-1 Melville. I think all these series, too, have had goaltending. They always say goaltending in the playoffs. Got to have good goaltending in the playoffs. Weyburn, home to the Battlefords. The Wings lead 2-1 in that one. Sorry, 3-1. I already moved this over. Flin Flon and Humboldt. Woo, they're going back to the Whitney Forum. Tied 2-2. Who would have thunk it? I talked to Rory from the play-by-play voice of the Humboldt Broncos yesterday. He said goaltending. Goaltending was the difference. And then the last series, back to Melfort, back to the Northern Lights Palace tonight. Kindersley trying to stay alive. They are down 3-1 to the high-powered Melfort Mustangs, the rough and tough Melfort Mustangs. But they beat them last game. Can they carry momentum into that one? Lots of overtime games as well. So far in the SJHL playoffs. Our SJHL reports are always brought to you by Southie Mainline Chrysler. The new king of trucks in Southie, Saskatchewan. They've gone crazy. Over $260,000 in total discounts on remaining 2024s. They got from $2,000 off to $16,000 off. You can call them, find out what they have left on the 2024s. Southie Mainline Chrysler. Worth the drive every time. Guaranteed. To AAA. Pat Canadians and Moose Jaw Winmar Warriors last night. Game 3. A chance to wrap it up at home. We tweeted it out. I don't know if you guys saw it, but I got a video while they were singing "O Canada," and I was down behind the Zamboni doors, the beautiful real C6 arena, and it was just a perfect chance to grab a shot of what it was all about, how packed it was, how busy it was. I have never seen C6, the Sixer, that full. I don't know what has come to the Six. I think there's been a couple of big female, like the Rebels went on that run. I think there's been some Can West University hockey, a couple of big games like that, and some big figure skating events. But this was jammed, and I think 1,472 people. If you're watching the stream there, you kind of get a sense of the final moments. Packed all the way around, packed in the stands. Good job, people, too, giving their seats up to people that needed it. Oof, the old jump in the pile. If you're at the bottom of that pile, it's tough to breathe. There's no, a lot of you out there remember that. Oh no, I got stuck in the back. That's why a lot of goalies put their backs right up against the glass so they're not on the bottom of the whole thing. You think you're gonna die. Seriously, remember ACT Arena in Saskatoon once. But great job from the organizers, the Pat Canadian, the volunteers that were doing the ticket thing. It was seamless. People got in. People got the rush seating. I bashed them a bit yesterday, or poked some fun. That's the better word. Poked some fun at Real yesterday. They did have the foresight. I forget who told me. Somebody basically said it was their idea to bring the mobile taps over from the Brandt Center to pour some beer. So they did that. They had 2 on the concourse. So first thing Sharky texted me last night about the game. He didn't ask, anything else. He's like, Did they have the beer? They have the beer taps, portable ones. Yes, they did, but you only could buy pints. Couldn't buy pitchers. So if you wanted a pitcher, you had to go inside. And if you've been to the Cooperators in that bar, the ladies were unreal. They had two of their best on, but just two. And they were trying to pour as fast as you could. The lineup, I think at one point I counted about 80 people in line to get beer. And I was in line the second time, grabbing a couple pitchers with a buddy. And of course, the lady in front gets 2 Caesars. You get 80 people in line. Have self-awareness. Grab a cooler and a can. If you just want vodka, I get you worried about the calories in the beer. Cooler. That's auto cooler time. Or have one beer. But never. Curtis, you're young. Probably you're still going to the bars. If it's lined up, don't be Caesar guy or a girl or fancy drinks. Might as well just order an espresso martini because those take like 15 minutes to make. I always feel like a bit of a D-bag when I have to order one of those. Can I get an espresso martini? There's a restaurant, though, in Saskatoon that has like a pre-made machine. So then you don't feel as bad. But good on the staff at Real for accommodating as best they could. I thought security did a great job. The Zamboni, the guys that were driving the Zamboni and the ice crew last night, because we were standing back there, they could have been a little more strict. Could have been the Hardos. They were good. They were just like, no one's breaking anything. No one's breaking any rules. No laws being broke. They just let us hang out. They let everyone hang out. Good job on everyone for banding together, not being total buffoons, and watching a heck of a hockey game. Pat Canadian, nothing. Let's take for what it is, and kudos to Moose Jaw. What a run! They came back against Swift Current, the reverse sweep. Then they come into the Pat Canadian. They lost first 2 games 2-1, 2-1. It was tight. Good hockey team, coached well. The Pat Canadians, they, I think, just a little deeper, a little more veteran savvy, which next year Moose Jaw will have maybe. Moose Jaw will have a chance to run it back, get back to the final. The Pat Canadians win, they're off to regionals. And how that works, they got 8 hours? We figured 8-hour bus ride to Kenora, Ontario. What? That's not in the West. It's just how it works. They consider Kenora, which is just over the Manitoba border into Ontario. Never been there, but I looked on a map. Can confirm. And then even Thunder Bay is considered west. So Pat C's head to Kenora. I understand they're leaving on Tuesday. First games are Thursday. Little 8-hour jaunt on the bus. It'll be them, the host Kenora. I think they're called the Thistles. Thunder Bay, and the Winnipeg Wild. People were talking yesterday, inside info, Winnipeg Wild, the team to beat, besides the Pat Canadians. Those two could be playing in the final in that one. Not taking anything away from Kenora and Thunder Bay, just what I heard. So they'll head there. But back to last night's game, and we do have some audio. We'll start with head coach of the Regina Pat Canadians. Just got a new deal, re-up for 2 years. So timing was good. Good on Hockey Regina for upping Ryan Hodgins. After the game, he just talked about, and you can hear it in his voice, just how happy he was for the fellas.
Okay, Hodgie, best part about the moment so far?
Oh, I'm just so happy for the boys. I mean, they've grinded, and yeah, I'm just happy for the boys. Like they deserve it, and that's the thing. It's well deserved, and I'm happy for them.
Did you have to coach this game much, this game 3, or did you just let them play?
Well, you know what? At this time of the year, like we talked to the boys, I mean, our game plans, we have our game plan, and it's about execution, and I challenged them on executing and following through with what we're doing, and they did. They nailed it, and then good things happened, but they executed, man.
Did you learn anything from the last few years and going into this one?
Well, you're always learning, right? Like it's you're learning every day. So I mean, yeah, absolutely, we learned from last year, and did we do some things differently? Probably, yeah. But like I said, we're learning every day. So
Job's not done.
Not done, but we're going to enjoy this one.
The classic. Not done, but we're going to enjoy this one. The other thing, if you were at the game, and if you weren't, it was the Patsies jumping out to a 2-0 lead. Chase Serkan scored first. Nice shot. Kid's got a heck of a shot from Jonas Evertson, Maddox Schultz. Then Reed Bichard, right place at the right time from Cash Lanigan, Ethan Dundas. That's a powerful threesome to try and control. Second period, it was Gage Nagel for Moose Jaw. Moose Jaw pushed. Tabashnik played well in net. They scored a power play goal, third period. And Haji, after he talked about on Wednesday how they practiced it. And they said it's kind of like the old, if you've coached football or played football, it's like you watch tape and they're like, okay, well, let's expose this, or let's bait him over there, let him take that guy. You do that in hockey as well. He talked about the power play goal. They implemented a new twist in practice on Wednesday. They baited Moose Jaw to take Maddox Schultz, and then it was Eli Johnson coming down Main Street.
Tell me about the power play.
Well, I mean, Moose Jaw, obviously they were keying hard on Maddox, and they're playing that strong side, and again with our group on that power play, man, they're pretty dynamic, and I think we had a good game plan for it, and we kind of had a good feeling Johnny would get an opportunity, and he made the best of it, man. He came through, followed the game plan, and worked well.
Yeah, it's pretty cool story. It's all about coaching. On that one, coaches, kudos to you guys, and I'm sure Moose Jaw as well did a great job making some coaching adjustments happening. But when it works like that, Eli Johnson's just been so good for this team all year. What a leader. Prince George Cougars have a good one in Eli Johnson, and a really good kid as well. Like a lot of these kids, you get to know them along with the coaches. They're good kids. After the game, I did catch up with Eli as well.
Honestly, it's so surreal. I mean, our team came such a long way. From day one, we had a hard-working team. I knew we did. We were really skilled, and if we pieced our things together, I knew we were going to be really dangerous. So going to that Max tournament really took that extra step as a team. We learned a lot there and carried it into the regular season. Only lost one game going into playoffs and came in on a hot streak. So, yeah, honestly, this team is unbelievable.
You got an A on your jersey, right? You guys are going to celebrate. You're going to do all this, but the job's not done?
Absolutely not. We got a long ways to go. Ontario, here we come.
I love it. Ontario. Here we go. 8 hours. 8 hours, Eli, on the Bone Shaker all the way to Kenora, Ontario. Later, a clutch performer. We're going to play the clip on his skate story from Assiniboia, which Sharky kind of alluded to yesterday. Like I said earlier, it's so Sasky. It is awesome. Also after the game, Maddox Schultz, 14-year-old, probably going to be the first pick in this year's Bantam draft. He shouldn't even be playing in this league, but he was a leading scorer this year. You probably heard the interview or we did earlier a couple months ago with his dad and him, kind of a look behind the curtain on the Schultz family and how Maddox and where Maddox is now and how he got there. But after the game, Maddox pointed out that being on the ice with that banner was kind of always the focus this year.
Yeah, it's awesome. Ever since the start of the year, we made this our goal, and to accomplish it, it feels real good.
Did you feel a lot of pressure going into the playoffs, like personally yourself?
Personally, I don't think so. I thought, just trying to get the job done, and obviously stepping into the playoffs. We had a good first round, and coming to the second round, we knew we were matching up against a good team, and even this series, we thought we were the better team throughout the series, but to win, it feels real special.
Haji told me about the power play, and it worked to perfection tonight. It's like almost like football. They were baiting to let them take Maddox, and then things worked.
Yeah, obviously won that drawback, and then Johnny stepped in with a missile. So, for that to go in is really cool, and got the crowd into it, so it was really awesome.
Eli talked about the Max tournament and how that was a big moment for this team, growing as a team, and then where you guys are now.
For sure, yeah. I think going into the Max tournament, we were hoping to do something special, and I think we did that there, and coming off that, we felt real confident, and going into the playoffs, like I said, we were super confident as well. So, to get the job done, it's the job done is not done yet, I guess, but we're looking forward to the Westerns.
2 assists for young Maddox Schultz last night. I was standing with some guys. It was their first. One guy was his first time seeing him play live. You got to keep in mind he's 14 years old. We did get a text in earlier, a message that there's no doubt other players on the ice. He's a special player. So many good players, both sides, fast hockey. I called it earlier this year. We kind of been covering this league all year here on the SportsCage. It is the best $10 entertainment-wise if you're a sports fan, I think, in the city. And a lot of people saw it last night. Another one of the players from the Pat Canadians kind of had something to prove this year. We've talked about him a lot on the show this year, is Jonas Sievertson. He started the year with the Prince Albert Raiders. It was extra special for him coming back from the Western League and getting that provincial banner.
Yeah, I think it means a lot to me, and obviously the guys. We lost last year, and I think it's pretty big deal for all of us. But I think job's not finished, and we got to do a job at regionals.
How special is this team?
It's pretty special. I mean, you don't win every year, and this organization it's been unbelievable. And to win it with this group of guys, it's just something special.
So there it is. Recap from on the ice last night. Pat C's over Moose Jaw. They're on to regionals. Thanks to the Pat C's for making everything accommodating with us. Let's go to a quick break. We come back. We got Skip of Team Canada in Moose Jaw starting tomorrow. Brad Jacobs, had a chance to interview him earlier. Great guy. It is the SportsCage. We're streaming at sportscage.com. As always, the home of sports in Saskatchewan, 620 CKRM. All right, joining us on the SportsCage, got a little exclusive here. Big one coming up in Moose Jaw starting this weekend. World Men's Curling Championship. Brad Jacobs joining us. First time on the SportsCage for Brad Jacobs. Kate, I got to ask you right off. First off, thanks for making time, because I know you guys are busy flying around and everything.
Yeah, you're welcome. We're just about to start practice in about 45 minutes, so perfect timing.
Okay, so you live in Ontario, curl out of Alberta. Just explain your curling life and the dynamics this year and this team for people.
Yeah, sure. So I'm the import player, the free agent, so to speak. So as many people who have been watching curling for years would know, I still do live in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. I reside in Northern Ontario, born and raised. But I'm the skip of Team Alberta. And it's funny, I was actually asking Al Cameron, our media guy, how many skips have won the Brier out of multiple provinces? And I think the answer is 2, myself being one of them now, the other being Rick Folk. We're trying to figure out if there's any more, but it's a little bit more common now for players to kind of combine from different provinces, multiple provinces, and form teams, whereas back in the day that wasn't common, right? If you wanted to play out of a different province, you literally had to pick up and move your family to that province. So I come out west, come out to Calgary and train with the guys multiple times per season. I've probably been out here, if I had to guess, like 6 to 8 times, besides all of the different tournaments that we play in. So came out here a couple days before the Brier, then we all made our way to Kelowna. Same story, coming out a couple days before the Worlds, and then we all head to Moose Jaw tomorrow morning. So it's been great.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. And like you said, yeah, back in the day, landlines, you'd have to move your family, and I'm sure you're racking up the WestJet or the Air Canada miles too. So that's a good thing.
Oh yeah.
The long way at the Brier. For me, I talked about it on the show. It's almost like the reverse sweep in hockey when a team's up 3-0 and a team comes back and for fitness for you guys, especially in curling now, when your team is such an important thing. Mental fitness as well to come the long way.
Yeah. So if you look at our Brier, we had a great round robin. We were undefeated. We were the only team in the Brier to have an undefeated round robin record. And that was really important after we lost that play-in game against Brad Gushu, being the only game that we had lost that week, because it meant that even though we had to go the long way and win 4 games in a row, we actually had hammer in 3 out of 4 of those games, predetermined. And that even just on the brain is gives you that little bit extra confidence. It gives you that slight advantage starting all of those games. So I think that was important. But you know what? Even after we lost that game to Brad, that playing game, we knew it was a long road. We knew the odds were stacked against us, but we also knew that we had the squad to go through those 4 games. And just the way that we approached each and every one of those games, I think, was incredible. And as we continued to win them, I think we built and had more and more confidence. And there's a lot to be said for playing, man. Like, when you're on that same sheet multiple games in a row, not waiting around, not waiting 24 hours or waiting to see who wins or loses, you just know what you have to do, and you get to go back out on the same sheet and just continue to build confidence on that sheet. There's a lot to be said for that. And so as we worked our way through those playoffs, I think we just built more and more confidence. And especially, I would say, after we got the hugest break of all time with Brad missing his last and, winning that semifinal, for all of us, and I know I can speak for myself, I really felt like, it was becoming destiny. Like, how do you get a big break like that and not go all the way? And even that just helps with the mentality of things. And I remember going into the last day, and I said to the guys, jokingly, because we had already played, I think, 11 games. We ended up going 12-1 and playing 13 games because we had to play 2 on Sunday. But I said, I got one more day in me. And then we beat Brad, and going into that last game, I said, okay, I got one more game in me. This is it. And even throughout that final, we played the first couple of ends and made some good shots to get out of those ends and get blanks. And it was just counting down the ends, trying to keep yourself in the game right till the very end. And we did that. And, what's cool about coming through those elimination games, not only are they very hard games and you're on your last life every single game, but I said to the guys, it just feels so well deserved when you do it that way. And then even in the final, we didn't have a lead in the game ever until after the last rock came to rest.
Yeah. It's true. And then I want to get to the ending and all that, but do you train mentally, or do you just pull from experience? Like you hear golfers, right? They're always, or field goal kickers, they're always training mentally. Or do you just pull from experience?
I'd say a little bit of both. We work on some sports psychology stuff with a guy that we use, and but I think there's a lot of experience there too. Not only that, I mean, I've, over the course of, I'd say, the last especially 7-8 years, I've read a lot of books and listened to a lot of good podcasts on how to be more mentally strong. That stuff helps. What really helps too is the guys that you surround yourself with, right? So I just feel so lucky and grateful to have, the mentally strong, world-class teammates and coach that I have, that when we get into those, big pressure packed moments, we really do play for each other and rely on one another and help one another through those times, right? And we do a good job of that.
The hug with Benny in that last shot, like that was real. Like that was real emotion. It's something that's probably going to be etched in your brain. It's living live, right, forever now in video. But like I said, like that was real.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was pretty cool. We've been waiting for. You look at our Briar. We didn't get very many TV games until we got into the playoffs. We really just kind of flew under the radar. I'd say there was a lot of talk about. Goose Shoes won 6 and they're still Team Canada and you need to beat them. And, there's a lot of talk about Dunstone's team being the number 1 ranked team in Canada going into that event. They had a lot of attention. I think we just kind of flew under the radar in our pool and just kept building and building and building. And, for me, you look and we fast forward to the end, we didn't have very many moments to let loose and we didn't have to make very many big shots. Like my guys made so many of just the basic standard simple shots and we just kept stacking points on the board. And we did make a few big ones. Don't get me wrong. We all had our turns doing that, but it all just kind of came out at the end, Barney. And, for Ben and Brett, that was their 5th. For Mark, he hadn't won the Briar in 9 years. And for me, I hadn't won the Briar in 12, it had been 12 years. So, and I think we were just relieved that it was all over with and it was, relatively nice, simple shot to win, but still have to make it. And we'd been waiting for a big moment all season and that's when it happened. And I remember when Ben started heading towards me and I was kind of blacking out. I think we all were. Ben certainly was too. I remember as he got closer and closer to me, I thought we better slow down here because he's got like probably 30 pounds on me and I hope he doesn't run me over, but it was a great moment.
For me, that final shot and how you went into the hack and you came out so quick and I'm like, did I miss something here? It was almost like the 18th hole of Augusta and a guy just throwing the tee in the ground and hitting it. Like, no, I was like, wow, that was something special. Let's talk about the legend a bit, the Regina legend, Benny. What do you remember your first time meeting Ben Hebert or your first interactions with him?
So it's kind of hard to remember everything. The thing that's burned into my brain, though, is 2007 Briar in Hamilton. It was my first Briar. So I would have been 21 years old, and those guys just formed their team. So it was Ben and Mark and Johnny Moe and Kevin Martin, and they just formed their team. And I think that was their first Briar. And we played them in the second game in 2007. We're Team Northern Ontario. I'm playing with my Uncle Al and Lee Toner and Dusty Jacomite, and we go out and we beat them 8-4 in 9 ends. And I just remember like thinking to myself, the amount of people that came up to us after and said, you don't have to win another game for the rest of the Briar. You just beat Kevin Martin, Team Alberta. You guys did Northern Ontario proud. But yeah, I remember those guys just being, young and hungry, formed that new super team. And we went out and first time playing them, beat them, which is just bizarre, right? But we played great. We out angled them and they were good. They were good sportsmen even about it because we just kind of outplayed them, which was weird. But another thing that really stands out for me is just seeing those guys, and Benny and Mark and John and Kevin like win the 2010 Olympics like that. When I saw that, and I remember being at Boston Pizza in Sault Ste. Marie, I wanted to go to the Olympics one day. That was a big dream of mine, and seeing them win in Vancouver and, always seeing them hugging and celebrating and having success as young men, I thought, I want that one day. And really looked up to all those guys growing up and then started getting better and playing against them, right?
Yeah. Is Benny Hebert the guy you want to bring home, your daughter to bring home? Is he the guy that's always going to help you move, or is he the guy that like the party boys golf trip or whatever? He's the guy that you want on the trip. Which one is he?
He's kind of all of that. He's kind of all that. And he's kind of like a Brad Marchand, I think. I think when you play with him, you love him. He's a great team guy. He's got your back. He's, he's someone that you want to play with, that will stick up for you and will run through a wall for you. But when you play against him, which I played against him and these guys most of my career, you want to hate him big time. You really want to hate him, and it's easy to do both. But it's nice to be on the other side with Ben now, and yeah, we've developed a really great, strong relationship right from the beginning, and I knew that would happen.
I read, I think you hold a degree in geography. How much do you know about Moose Jaw?
Zero. Zero. And even the degree, like, yeah, I showed up to exams, I think back, I knew one thing for sure when I was young. I stayed in school, but I wanted to be a curling athlete, right? So the geography degree, it hasn't really come into play. But yeah, looking forward to Moose Jaw. I think I did look it up. I think it's a small community, right? Around 35,000.
It's nice though. It's got like a little valley in the middle. You'll like it. And
yeah,
being so close to Regina, being somewhat close, Assiniboia, Swift Current's just down the road. Like the support's going to be fantastic. Because like nowadays with the tours and how much you guys travel, and you talked about going back in the day. Nowadays, do you know pretty much all the teams that are coming? Is there any surprises that are coming at you?
We pretty much know everyone.
Yeah.
There might be a few surprises. I mean, I've looked at everyone. A few of the teams that I haven't looked at are the ones that we don't really know that much about. There really isn't much to find on them. Yeah, we know what we're up against. We know that there isn't going to be any easy games. It's going to be tough. It's going to be really tough, harder than the Brier. And we need to do what we did at the Brier, maybe play even a little bit better in order to have a good chance to win this thing. But I'll tell you, we're hungry to do it. We really are. And I know that when we get in the thick of things and we start competing next week, we're all going to be out there doing everything we can to make Canada proud and create some great entertainment for all the fans and everyone who's coming to support, and try to do what Rachel Homan did and bring another world championship back to Canada on the men's side.
I think it was Benny that said on the show that you guys are getting the Warriors locker room. I know there's some party buses coming from Regina from the golf course. Benny's buddies. Like the sport's going to be next level. Now I want to talk about the patch. Probably the closest a curler's ever going to be to being a rock star and walking in. Are you guys going to maybe go for a couple in there?
Hard to say. I bet you. Okay, well, so what I think is going to happen is all of those people, buddies and friends and family and a lot of people that know Ben and are there to support our team, they're going to show up, and we're going to have no choice but to go and say hi and, make sure that they know that we appreciate that they've made the trek to Moose Jaw, and we appreciate them cheering for us. Right. So you might see us in there a couple times, certainly not late, and certainly not having too many beverages, because nobody wants to try to perform that way. But hopefully the patch is full and everyone's having, a good time. There will be a time where we're not competing anymore, and we'll be in the patch doing exactly what they're doing and partying and having a good time. I do look forward to that day, just not next week.
You mentioned it in your post game, and just wearing that maple leaf. It's always, doesn't matter what sport, people are always proud. Sochi, right? Like, what an experience is that? Where's the medal?
Yeah, the medal is actually just in the nightstand beside the bed. It's we moved a couple times, and so I have never actually. I said to Shauna when I got home from this Brier, I said, okay, now we can actually put something up in our rec room above the garage and dedicate a wall to some of the stuff that we've been able to accomplish in curling. I haven't done that yet, so I think now is the time. Now, having got that second Brier, would love to put a world championship, some memorabilia up from that, and try to win this week. So yeah, it's just chilling. It's sitting beside the bed. It will have a permanent spot soon.
Okay, last one. It was tennis great Billie Jean King that said pressure is a privilege. Will that be the mindset for you guys this week?
Well, I do agree with that. I mean, when you think about it, how many people have an opportunity in their life to follow their dreams and goals and either succeed to an enormous level or fail to an enormous level. A lot of people, even when I took time off from the game for a little bit there and I came back, I said, I think I'm just sort of addicted to putting myself into situations where we can either win big or lose big. That if you're doing that, you're probably doing something right in life, right? So I do think that it's a privilege. I think that pressure, though, is a lot to do with perspective. and how much you kind of build it up in your own mind or within your own team and environment. I would say that I know that we had a lot of pressure-packed situations at the Briar that, you know what, haven't handled pressure that well in probably a decade. And it was really great to see. So a lot of good reminders that we've kind of been putting ourselves through and great, team meetings beforehand and debriefs. But I'm really hoping that when we go to Moose Jaw, we just can remember where our feet are, stay in the moment, immerse ourselves in what we're trying to do and immerse ourselves in the games and really just play loose. Because I think the looser you can play, the less tight you grip the broom handle, the better you'll perform. So that's what I'm looking forward to in Moose Jaw, just playing loose and leaving it all out there and getting a few breaks along the way. And I think that we can do it.
Awesome, man. Wow, you guys are gonna have a lot of support. Like I said, you got to finish off that room above the garage. Another little piece in there. Thanks so much for doing this, Brad. I know you're busy, and SportsCage listeners really appreciate it as well.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, Barney.
Ford World Curling Championships. We'll be covering it all next week as well. Thanks to Brad Jacobs for making time earlier today and doing that interview. Fellas will have the support behind them. Kind of ticker time now, kind of teeing up what's going on in the area. I had a brain cramp earlier. Yes, thanks to text message. SJHL tonight, there's only the one game tonight. Melville in Yorkton, 7 o'clock. Puck drop in Yorkton. The rest of the series fire back tomorrow. So SJHL there. But WHL, it starts tonight. If you're around Prince Albert, we had Curtis Hunt on yesterday, and this isn't just blowing smoke. You've never been to a playoff game at the Art Hauser Center in Prince Albert. It is awesome. It's got that like Swift Current feel. Hey, shout out Swift Current. I know when your barn gets packed as well. But tonight, Prince Albert is home to the Edmonton Oil Kings Game 1. Swift Current travels into Medicine Hat, Lethbridge, and Brandon. That's a long bus trip. They go at it in Lethbridge. And then Calgary welcomes the Saskatoon Blades. That is the Eastern Conference. Out in the West, Everett, Seattle start tonight. Victoria, Tri-Cities, Spokane, Vancouver. And then we talked about this juicy road trip, Prince George against the Portland Winterhawks. We have tonight senior hockey, the Qu'Appelle Valley Highway Hockey League. Hopefully the roads are okay. Again, 936-6262, Prairieland Rentals text line. I see some picture of around Davidson. It doesn't look good at all. But tonight, Lumsden leads 2-1. They're in Raymore. Raymore trying to stay alive in that league final. In the Long Lake, think this one's still a go as of right now. Foam Lake trying to double banner. They're hosting Drake in Game 3 of the Long Lake Championship Series. It's tied 1-1. So there's your rundown of everything going on tonight. If you got anything that we missed, Prairieland Rentals text line 936-6262, 600 Albert Street, Prairieland Rentals. You get to deal with the owner. An hour in the books. We will start hour 2 with TSN's Farhan Lalji. Curious on the salary cap violations by some of the CFL teams and what Farhan has to think about that. It is the Sports Cage, the home of sports in Saskatchewan on 620 CKRM. We're back Friday with the C's, waiting for Farhan Lalji to come on in. Is he there? Not there yet. All right. I wasn't paying attention. Sorry. I was reading text into the Prairieland Rentals text line. Thanks to everyone who's sending in. Wayne, thanks. Really enjoyed the interview with Jacobs. Yeah. Doesn't he seem like a good guy? Yeah, Colson? Good dude. Like what? Like go for drinks, go golf, probably help us move?
Very salt of the earth guy. Yeah.
And
I didn't meet him. That was just from your interview. Yeah.
And I asked Benny after I was done, I said, I should bring him to the member guest tournament at the Royal Regina because Benny plays. Remember when we interviewed Benny, he talked about how he plays with our buddy Dave Lowe. It's a great tournament, long rounds of golf. And then Benny said, and he just melts it. I guess Brad's a good golfer too. Can't have too many of those guys in the stable. So it gets firing in Moose Jaw. I haven't heard a lot about tickets. I don't know how sold out it is. The Canada draws, obviously, things will be tight. But that's gonna be an awesome event. They get the Moose Jaw Warriors locker room, all the support behind them. If you're going, they have to keep us updated. I said earlier when we did the ticker into hour 2 here that I did goof a bit. SJHL this evening, just the one game. Yorkton and Melville trying to stay alive. Are the Millionaires tonight? 7 o'clock puck drop. The rest of them get back at her tomorrow. In Melfort, in Weyburn, trying to wrap that up. And Flin Flon. Humboldt tied 2-2.
Looking online here, Curling Canada, they got ticket prices. So single draw is as low as $15. Depends on the section, of course, but
it's a great barn.
Yeah, $15 to $50. Premium sections, $20 to $60. Weekend and weekday packages up to from $48. Full event package, $414.
Ah.
Yeah. There is also group and VIP packages, but you got to contact their sales team for that. So that's all I got.
We'll be keeping people updated. Good heads up there on more. We talked about it earlier. It's time to go chat with TSN. No, not there. I thought you gave me the thumbs up. You shook me off. I don't know all the code. It's Friday code. Farhan standing by then. Trying to get him. Western Hockey League. Again, traveling. Not recommended. You heard in news. Ugly out there. I was just on Twitter over the news. Saw Highway 11 near Davidson. Not good at all. If you're going north. Let us know, 936-6262, if there's something that we should pass on to listeners. People probably going to Yorkton to watch the game tonight. People going south, going to Medicine Hat, maybe. Watch the Tigers and the Swift Current Broncos. We can pass on that information. Another new thing here on the Sports Cage that we got to pass on, Dave Thomas was like, it's a good idea. You can register for the Sports Cage Insider Report. You get scores, the latest news, and opportunities to win VIP access to the biggest events. All you have to do is click on sportscage.com. So I'm challenging all you there to go sportscage.com. Click on that, become a Sports Cage Insider. Dave promises there will be some really cool prizes for everyone that subscribes. So we'll keep hammering that and giving you the info. Again, just go to sportscage.com and deal with that. Okay, that was a legit thumbs up. It's time to talk to Farhan.
It's time to get the inside story. TSN's Farhan Lalji on SportsCage is brought to you by the Cooperators. Time to get financially fit? Cooperators can build a plan that works for you. Cooperators, investing in your future together.
Farhan Lalji, man. What's the weather like there? Saskatchewan's getting drilled with that way we thought it was spring. And now winter's back rolling in here. You missed it by a week.
When I was there, I had some snow. The last night that we were there, I think we were at one of the pubs. I'm not going to say the name because it'll they might not be a sponsor, right?
Yeah.
So we were looking outside, and all of a sudden there's snow everywhere. We're thinking, what the heck's all this all about? So right now it is 13, 14 degrees and cloudy here. My son's got a track meet in about an hour, so I'm done here, and I'm going to head over there and watch him run a few sprints. And beautiful spring day here on the West Coast.
Oh, jealous.
Sorry.
Yeah, jealous. Let's start hockey this time. We usually start CFL. Vancouver Canucks, Calgary Flames. It's looking slimmer and slimmer as the days go by. Now 5 points back are the Vancouver Canucks. Yeah. What do you think?
Yeah, well, look, 5 points back, but they do have 2 games in hand. Now you got to win those games, and Calgary's in a similar position, right? I think they're 6 points back, but they've got 3 games in hand of St. Louis. But St. Louis is playing at such a high level right now. I mean, there's a lot of talk that, hey, maybe this team's going to catch Minnesota, and then both Vancouver and Calgary are going to be chasing the Wild with, Utah. Looks like they're kind of falling off a little bit here. So, like I said, games in hand are nice, but you got to win them. And from a Canuck perspective, I'm wondering whether or not they can score the way they have the last 4 games, because this team doesn't have a lot of natural offense right now, especially with guys like Pettersson and Hedl and Höglander out of the lineup. So, can their goaltending, the way Demko played the other night, steal them games? Yeah, it potentially could. They can go on a heater, but they're going to have to go on a real heater the way St. Louis is playing right now.
Yeah, need St. Louis to falter too, which is it's not happening. Is it just every time he gets interviewed, I feel like Quinn Hughes just looks so defeated, so angry, so tired. I don't see that guy smile quite that often, Farhan.
Yeah, look, this guy's had to carry the team a lot, right? I mean, so there is a fatigue there. He's been playing the last 15 games, or since he had the time off after the Four Nations with an injury, and then when he came back, he's not been healthy. And generally, even Quinn Hughes at 80% has been really, really good. And there's been a lot of 30-minute games, and I think there was one game he had the puck on his stick. Literally on a stick in the offensive zone for 2 minutes over the course of an entire game. And I don't think anybody else had it on their stick more than 30 seconds, right, on either team. So he does a lot. And look, this team's not going to make the playoffs in all likelihood, but if they did, in my opinion, he should win the Hart Trophy. Because as good as McDavid and Draisaitl and McKinnon are, nobody means more to their team than Quinn Hughes. And that's probably an indictment on the Canucks overall, right? But this guy's also really, really good. So, and then in the last game, he didn't play particularly well, which is rare. And the Canucks wound up winning anyway. But, a big, big load on this guy. So, yeah, there are times where I don't want to say he's angry. I just think he's fatigued. I think he's emotionally and physically exhausted right now.
Who would be the guy on the Canucks that, besides Hughes, that you've been impressed with, that's really stepped it up? Is it Joshua? I don't know. He seems like he's been a pleasant surprise. Who is it?
Well, I there's a few ways to answer that, because I think the guy that was playing really well for a period of time was Nils Höglander, and then he got injured the same day that Elias Pettersson got injured, right? So, I look at the defense for the Canucks right now, and that's probably where they're gaining the most. At the beginning of the year, this team's D was absolutely atrocious outside of the top pair. Like, you didn't want the bottom 4 on the ice at any point. It was frightening to watch. Well, now, 1 through 6, it's a pretty good group, and I think they're getting a lot of support from the back end. Pius Suter is also a guy I think that there's a lot to like. I had a couple of points the other night, or a couple goals, I should say. And here's a guy that, is a bottom 6 center. Like, he just is. There's a lot of utility there. Not a great faceoff guy, but good on the penalty kill. And there's a lot of other things he does right. Well, all of a sudden, with all these injuries, he's been elevated into a top-line role. And not that he's a full-time top-line player, but he's more than done his part at the current time. So there's been a few guys that have elevated, and he's one of them.
And I know you don't cover this team, but you're in the circles. I'm sure in some chat groups and all that. I don't know what to make of the Edmonton Oilers. I know they're missing their 2 studs, but like last night, they almost come back against Dallas, and then last night they kind of lay that egg a bit. I don't know. What do you make of Edmonton?
Yeah, a lot of us for years thought that this was a 2-person team, right? And then everybody in Edmonton kind of rolled their eyes. Oh, here we go again. But this year, it's funny. With the Canucks a year ago, the conversation was, Jim Rutherford said at the day before training camp that a lot has to go right, and it did. And then this year, a lot's gone wrong. And I feel that with Edmonton right now. I mean, the second half of last season, really the second 2/3 of last season, they were incredible. And they carried that into the playoffs. And this year, a lot has gone wrong. Some players have been, okay. I think Darnell Nurse might have taken a small step forward, and there might be a couple of others. But then you look at and certainly Draisaitl, he's been awesome. But McDavid's taken a step back. Their top pair, with Ekholm and Bouchard haven't been as good. Yeah, haven't been as good. Zach Hyman hasn't been as good. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins hasn't been as good. Like, all of these guys have taken a bit of a step back for an extended period of time. Now, we know McDavid's still elite, and he has the ability to flick that switch at any point. But now these guys are hurt. So we'll see what happens when they all get back in the lineup, whether they can flip the switch back. But this is not a team that anybody should be afraid to face in the first round of the playoffs.
All right, let's go to the CFL. We have some fines out there for Omar Doman.
Big fines, Barney. Big fines. We're talking like Barney and Colson type salaries. Like the Lions are going to get fined $643,000 along with 2 draft picks, their first and second round pick. Now, this all is the result of bringing back Nathan Rourke and Matthew Betts last year, right? Every team operates at the cap pretty early in the season. And then all of a sudden you got to bring those 2 guys back, and that's big. So back in August, I was talking about $300,000 numbers with their management team and what's going to happen. And I think at the time, they knew they were in for a lot of pain here. But obviously they were going all in, and the owner was going all in, and he knew what the pain would look like. But I think their hope was, could we manage and move some things around that we can at least keep it under $300,000? That way the fines are a little less, could be under $500,000 in fines, and we only lose 1 pick. And they knew, when they made the Vernon Adams trade, okay, we got that pick back, right? Well, guess what? That pick just went back to Calgary. So, and to me, like, I don't feel sorry for the Lions, right? Like, look, you knew what you were getting into. You went into it with both eyes open, and you deserve to be penalized. That's just the way it is. The thing that I'm struggling with, how does Calgary get 2 top 10 picks? Like, what did they do to deserve 2 extra top 10 picks? I don't get it, right? Like, it makes I know it's in the Constitution. That was all there. The Lions, again, this is not a Homer Vancouver guy, wanting to get his home team off. That's not that. The Lions should be paid and punished, fined and punished. But it makes no sense to me that Calgary, out of the blue, they didn't do anything for these picks. 2 top 10 picks. It's nuts.
I was wondering if you knew why, but apparently you don't either. I'm like,
well, no, I kind of do, right? Because they don't want the picks forfeited. The PA doesn't want the picks forfeited. And in other leagues, you forfeit those picks if someone does anything wrong. Like if you take too much time on the clock in the CFL or in the NHL or the NFL, you lose the pick. That's it. And even in the CFL, if you took too much time, you'd lose the pick. That's it. But the PA didn't want the picks lost, right? They wanted the same number of guys drafted, and theoretically, they wanted the same number of guys in each round because those guys potentially get paid more. So to me, the logical solution is have everybody elevate a spot up, right? And then take those 2 picks and put them at the end of the draft. So that way, everybody, except the offending team, like I wouldn't move the Lions up, but all the other teams kind of move up 1 spot, right? And they all get slight benefit as a result of what the Lions have done. And again, I just don't get why it would be Calgary getting 2 picks. Even if they got 1, then find the team that was second in the waiver priority and give them the second round pick. But the way they've done it, there's ways to make sure the same number of guys get drafted, but this is just wrong.
Were you surprised with any of the other teams? Were you expecting maybe Toronto to be over more than where they were? Because I think they're at about 87,000.
Yeah, when I looked at it, just in terms of kind of who did what in terms of their offseason spend, the Argos have gone through this for 2 years in a row where they just haven't spent, right? And they've just said, go, guys, if you want to leave, leave. And then we'll just kind of figure out what's left. But, there were some teams under a certain amount of pressure that felt like they had to get some things done. And look, they weren't that far over the cap, right? I mean, look, as I said on my SportsCenter hit today, most of those teams went over the speed limit by 5 miles an hour. The Lions, they just drove right over the cap, and then they went back, and then they drove over it again, and then they went back and drove over it one more time. So, prior to this, the biggest cap overage was 2007. Montreal went over it by 108,000. So the Lions more than tripled the previous high water mark, right? So the other teams, no one's even going to think about them given what's happened to BC.
I was going to ask you, what was the ceiling before? Yeah, they blew by it then.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They drove over it and then some. And I'll tell you this: talking to them, even though they didn't get the payoff last year by an appearance in the Home Grey Cup, they would have done it again. And I say that because look, without that, they don't get Nathan Rourke, right? And now he's their quarterback. And you can say what you want about his play in the second half of last year, but He's still a highly regarded quarterback, and they don't get Matthew Betts. So by having those two guys, they were able to get him extended or redone, the Rourke deal and the extension on Betts. They were able to get that done while they were still in the building. And those things don't happen if they don't do what they did. Now, is it worth that kind of money? They're paying Nate a lot. Now they're being fined a lot, but they would have done it again.
Oh, I love it. Double down. Let's go. What's up with the salary cap now? Like this has me scratching my head. And where are they going to might move the money somewhere else? Like what are you hearing there?
Well, it's been like that since they announced the amount, right? That they said the $18 million revenue increase and the cap increase by $600,000 per. Like we had that conversation, or $500,000 per. The decision to make in terms of where they were going to put the money, and they kind of wanted to put it everywhere, including some areas that weren't in the original deal. Right. And in my opinion, there are potentially better places to put it than simply the salary cap. Right. Like you could raise minimum salaries. You could put more into training camp stipends so that everybody benefits by it. Right. Like I think the concern is that if you just put it on the cap, it's going to affect 3 to 4 players per team, and generally at the high end. And I think the PA wants to affect more players, particularly the middle ground of guys. And I think that does make sense, but you still got to stay within what your agreement was. So the teams, as a result of the questions around it and having set their budgets earlier, for the most part, are operating with the old cap. Now, will some go over? Probably. Will all go over? Probably. But I don't think they'll all go right to the top amount, which they're allowed to spend now. Like they might all go over, when I say over, I mean the old cap. They might go above the old cap by 100,000 or 200,000, but maybe not the 500,000 until there's a little more clarity on it. So we'll see. But I get where the PA is coming from, that we want to share the wealth of it.
I didn't ask you, but after the combine, was there anyone that stood out that you didn't know about before that jumped out of the page?
Not really, to be honest, right? I mean, it's a disturbing trend that more and more players that should be at the combine aren't at the combine, right? Now, if you're at a big school and you've got NFL aspirations and you're Curtis Rourke or Alec Ayomanor, I get why you don't come. But I think the other players that are on the bubble would be better served to come. And I think the CFL is looking at potentially moving the combine up a couple of weeks, because if you do that, all those guys that are in the final throes of getting ready for their pro day at their colleges could still come to the CFL Combine, right? And still get to the pro day and do all of that. So, but in terms of, the top guys and guys that impressed me, I don't know that anybody really, really surprised me in a positive direction. I think the guys that I thought would fare well, the Jackson Finleys, the Nate Boschemans of the world, the Canadian DBs, I thought they were good. A couple of linemen on both sides of the ball that got dinged up and didn't really do much after testing. And, so I wasn't really blown away. I think overall, the D-line class and the DB class those two classes were very good, and I think some of the other spots were pretty thin.
Most disappointing part of the weekend for you was showing up here. We didn't have Western Pizza. That was definitely we know. And that.
I'm waiting for the frozen. I'm waiting for the frozen version. Colson, when you order it for me, make sure there's chicken on it, no pork, and other than that, you can be creative.
Trey Lance, where's he going to fit in here?
Your
on the
guy.
Riders? Is he going to fit in?
Your guy.
Yeah. Oh yeah. For sure.
Face of the franchise.
How does this work?
You're the home of the Riders.
How does the neg list work? Give us behind the curtains look.
There's 35 guys on the neg list. You can put them on whenever. As long as you have room, you can put guys on. And if you don't have room, you can drop a guy and add a guy. So it happens on a regular basis. I mean, Vernon Adams was on the BC Lions neg list when he was a freshman in college. Like, you don't even have to be draft eligible to be on a neg list. And you'll see a high number of quarterbacks on everybody's neg list because, everyone's looking for the next one, right? And quite often, in most cases, those guys that are on those neg lists never see the light of day in the CFL because they're going to hang on and wait for an NFL opportunity as long as possible. The Riders either had room or made room, and all of a sudden, Lance still doesn't have a job, and Jeremy O'Day said, okay, well, let's just take a shot. Lions or somebody, Colin Kaepernick was on a neg list a year ago. These things happen. So if you're Trey Lance, I think you'd be wise to try to come up to a league like the CFL or the UFL. And while I think the CFL is way better, if he goes to the UFL, he could play right away, whereas that won't happen here. And you don't have to learn a new game. So I would never advocate for that league over this one. But if you've got short-term aspirations at that one particular position, it might make sense. But he's made $34 million, right? So how motivated is he? I don't know, right? I think it was a bad decision for him to come out when he did, from a football perspective. But financially, $34 million, like you can live pretty good for the rest of your life. Even half of that is a lot of money. Yeah, you know how many times the Lions would have to go over the salary cap to hit $34 million? Like 90.
So basically, it is for a lot of it then. Some there would be some calculated risk or not even risk, but a lot of it is just a stab in the dark then. Put them on the list. Just in case.
Yeah, you know what it does is if this was the U.S., it would be a total, antitrust violation, right? Because all it does is it prevents a bidding war for any kind of a player. Bidding war. But in the case of a guy like Trey Lance, you might. Just like Johnny Manziel, you might. So, now if he all of a sudden wants to come up, then the Riders are in the catbird seat. They don't have to negotiate with anyone else to make it work.
All right. Well, you enjoy the nice weather there. Keep us in your thoughts here in Sasky, and then we'll regroup and do it again next week.
Can't wait. And listen, Colson, I want that. I'm gonna have the warm pizza in my hand for next week's hit. That's the visual. It should be right there, right? I'm not gonna eat it with a fork and knife, so I'm leaving it to you.
I wrote it down. Chicken, no pork.
Right
Thanks,
on.
pal.
Have a good weekend. See you later. It's Farhan Lalji.
See you guys.
For the cooperators. You can build a plan that works for you and get financially fit. Cooperators, invest in your future together. It is the Sports Cage. We're streaming at sportscage.com. We're streaming at X. Again, let us know any weather-related road situations that we should pass on. We'll pass it on to our listeners right after the break. It's the Sports Cage on 620 CKRM. Yes, clutch performer Nick Service in Emerald Park. Scouring the text line here. No clutch performers today. Lots of weather updates. Okay, so here's mine. Sharky talked about it yesterday. Regina Pat Canadians, assistant captain Eli Johnson. Heck of a season. Great player. You watched him last night. You watched him throughout the year. Doing great things. Going to play in Prince George next year, I'm sure. So in game 2, in Assiniboia, his skate breaks. They're scrambling. He's their best defenseman. No offense to anyone else, but he is. He's the leader. He's best defenseman. Of course, the people in Assiniboia step up. They find him a skate somewhat fits, somewhat his size. So he's wheeling 2 different skates. Not easy. Blades might be different. Sharpen might be different. Obviously, the boot might fit different. He puts on this skate. He scores. And he doesn't take it off. I had to ask him yesterday after the game about the story.
Tell me about the skate story in Assiniboia.
Oh man, near the end of the first period, I thought it was a normal shift, got off the ice, took a step onto the bench, I just hear a crack. Oh crap, like what the hell? I try and step down, goes like no support, so I'm like I'm done. Like I thought I was done for the game. And then I go out back, we got like 3 people from Assiniboia kind of looking at me, and then they're calling around town. They're like, "Oh, this guy knows how to fix skates." Calls him. "Oh, this guy's got a size 9 skate." Call him. They both come to the rink. Guy gives me his skate. I put my blade into it. Started the second period. We got a power play. Walked in and scored. My skate got fixed about 5 minutes left in the period. They offered it to me. I said, absolutely not. No chance. I scored. I'm not taking this off. I played the rest of the game. The skate was a size too small, too. So I'm playing in pain through this completely different skate. But, I don't know how long I'm going to be telling this story for. But.
Oh, that is so good. Good job, Eli. Told the story well, too. Great kid. So he did put his blade in. Okay, so the blade thing at least. The skate was small and some pain. That's a great story. I love it. We'll keep that one on file. It's a gooder. Clutch performer always for the fine folks at Nick's Service in Emerald Park. They're the local Massey Ferguson Challenger, Rogator Gleaner, and Fent dealer. You can call 781-1077. Couple of home games coming up this weekend, and then next Friday for the Saskatchewan Rush. When we come back, we're going to talk to the voice of the Rush right here on the Sports Cage in 620 CKRM. It is for Nelson Homes on Fridays. Supplying home packages and RTMs for over 65 years. Nelson Homes. What do we get? Any weather here? Highway 11. Everyone's saying Highway 11. 936-6262. Doesn't look too good. If you're going to Saskatoon or Saskatoon to Regina, think again. Check the highway hotline. Keep it tuned to this station. We'll keep you updated. Western Pizza on a Friday, especially when it's gloomy out like this. Why wouldn't a guy or girl pick up a pizza pie, all the Greek favorites you love from your local Western Pizza, the pickup special? I know a lot of you are driving home right now going, oh, would the Western Pizza be good? Call them. Let's go out on the Western Pizza guest hotline right now. Voice of the Saskatchewan Rush, Cody Janzen, is joining us once again. Cody, I'm looking at the schedule and I'm like, okay, yeah. So the Rush at home Saturday, then they're back at home. Oh yeah, next Friday. Where are the Blades fitting into this? Are they doing the ice in, ice out, ice in, ice out thing?
Oh yeah, they always do that here in house. We gotta tip your hat. Like the crew at SJHL Center, real good in and out. I've seen some crazy NHL barns that do it in like an hour, but like here they're pretty top notch. Blades are Tuesday, Wednesday next week. So, they'll snap the turf out Sunday and they'll have it back down on Thursday, right? So it's a quick turnaround, but again, they've been doing it now since 2016, so they got a pretty good system in place. No concerts rolling into town. Beach Boys were just there, weren't they? That was last night. Yeah.
Did you go? Kokomo?
No. I opted out of that one, Barney.
No, it's awesome up there, right? Especially like the concessions will be buzzed, will be pouring, the taps will be pouring. It's a busy week ahead for Sask Place. I still call it Sask Place. As for the Rush, though, Colorado in town. Colorado sitting, what are they sitting? 8-6 on the year? Are they kind of middle of the pack-ish? Give us the insider look on how these two teams match up, what you're thinking tomorrow.
Yeah, two of the top 5 teams in the league, right? Colorado, they did lose last weekend. They were missing their starting goaltender, a couple of pieces there, so they fall out of the top 4, but still a really good team there. They've won the championship in 2022, went to the finals 2023. They got all the pieces still. They're good. Saskatchewan 10-4, sitting in second, really battling to get a home playoff spot. You know how big that is. Home floor advantage, Rush Nation. If you're sitting there in the NLL, you're sitting pretty, because that first round's like one game, right? It's single elimination. If you've got home floor advantage, you've just got an extra one in the bag. And so I think that's really important. And for Saskatchewan, a couple of weeks ago, tough loss against Halifax. The bye week kind of just helps you hit that refresh button, right? Fresh legs, 2 games in the next 6 days. Colorado first up. It's going to be a heavyweight tilt.
Okay, I love the sport. Don't know enough about it. Never played it. Probably should have. It looks so much fun. Now, home court, home floor advantage, or whatever you called it. Is there any advantage besides just having the crowd and the music playing and it's your barn? Is there any advantages when you got box lacrosse like hockey, where in hockey you get a last change, right? That's a massive, especially in a playoffs when you're matching lines and all that. In lacrosse, is there anything like that, or is it just the atmosphere?
It's mostly the atmosphere. I think that players do understand, the ball bounces a lot different at SaskTel Center than it does at Ball Arena. Right. And so, Co-op Field. The turf is a little bit different here than in Vancouver, in Rogers Arena. Like there's those little tendencies, I think, where since you only play a team once each year for the most part, so either, last year we went to Colorado, this year they come to us. So you don't really see teams as often as you used to, and so they're not used to this building and vice versa. So I think it's those little things versus a hockey where you've got last change can match up a little bit differently. They don't have that in lacrosse.
Who's been the surprise so far for you? Give us some names here on the Rush. Who's been the surprise guy? Maybe a couple of them.
There's been a couple of guys who've stepped up. Brock Haley's a rookie who's, creeping up on 40 points. The Rush haven't had that in a long time. You've got Jake Boudreau, maybe not so much a surprise, but impressed with how much he's elevated his game. He's now in his third year. He's a leader. He's going to be in the running for Transition Player of the Year. And then Matt Hossack leads the league in caused turnovers. That's a guy who... we saw how good he was in those first few years. He gets scooped up by Panther City in the expansion draft. Then, funny how fate works. It's you get him back in the dispersal draft, and he's the best D-man in the league. So, yeah, there's been a couple of surprises. Maybe you were expecting some of it. But for the most part, I think this Rush team's just finally executed to their ability. I think the ceiling's still higher, but, we've seen it in the past. The team's been good. They just can't get over that hump. Now they start to feel a little bit more confident.
So, and looking at the standings here as well, we have an X beside our name. That means we get to play postseason.
That's good.
That's always a good thing. Entry fees paid. We get to play extra lacrosse. But we need Buffalo to drop 2 then and go on a heater. Is that correct? Because they're ahead in the standings by a game, and then did they hold the head-to-head?
Yeah. So that's they hold the head-to-head. They beat Saskatchewan this year, so you can't be tied with them for top spot. We would need them to lose 2, and then for the Rush to win out.
We need Vancouver. Need Vancouver to beat them this weekend. Can that happen?
Vancouver's got a goalie. They got a goalie, okay. So you never know. Anything could happen.
And then Buffalo, they go to Colorado next Saturday. So maybe they'll go out in the Lodo district, get all banged up, and they'll try and play guilty on Saturday. Hey, you never know. I'm piecing this all together, Cody. Cut me some slack. And then so next Friday, Calgary comes in. I guess the problem is tomorrow people are going to be watching the roads with the storm. You're up there.
They'll be fine tomorrow. Come on. They suck today, right? They suck today. Stay home, stay safe, save that gas, use it tomorrow. They'll have the roads cleared.
Okay, there you go. And then before we move on to some hockey here, just tell people how easy it is to get tickets and how basically cheap it is to get into the rink to watch this.
Craziest thing. It's the best deal in pro sports. $20. You swing by a co-op, get a co-op ticket, right? You get an electric atmosphere. There's nothing like it. $20 tickets. What's that, like half price? Some junior teams maybe down your way, but I think it's just the best deal in pro sports. $25 if you want to buy online. Ticketmaster, saskrush.com. Looks. I think I haven't checked today or anything. I think they were creeping up 7,000 plus. So walk up. I guess we'll see how the roads are. 8-9K. The atmosphere was back. Buffalo game was buzzing. The lower bowl was jam-packed. I think people are realizing, that this Rush rebuild is now starting to pay off. There's been some crazy years. Barney, it's 2,156 days since the last Rush playoff game. Insane. So It has been a long time coming, and I think Rush Nation's getting a treat this year, and fans are starting to buy in. And that's the best part about it is we see fans from all over. I talked to fans on March 1st coming out from Lloydminster. They drive out for games. I think that's so cool when you can be a full provincial team, and that's definitely what the Rush are.
Do you got one of those tickers in your office there that has that on there? How do you? That's a pretty wild number to just throw out.
No, I do math once in a while. I'm not great at it, but I actually looked it up the other day. It's a broadcast stat, but it just threw me back. It's like, wow, that's been a long time. 6 years. I don't know. Maybe it feels a little quicker or whatever, the whole break there. But I think it's so cool to get playoff lacrosse back and to have a home game with the fans here. I think they'd be in for a treat.
You might see me We're going to have to catch up. You might see me on the concourse that Saturday, April 19th game. That's Easter weekend. That's home. That's coming home time. So, yeah. Oh, I would never pass up a chance.
Hey, green beer's always flowing. You know that. How about Mike Triolo and Frank Scigliano? Did you see that, though, Barney?
No.
So, I don't know. They worked out the deal with the team. This is way above my head. First 2,000 beers are on the players on Friday night. Next Friday, April 4th. So it's that's a pretty. Hey, how many places? 2,000 beer vouchers going out. Yeah, the place is going to be packed for Battle of the Prairies.
That is and it's April 4th. You can't run an April Fool's joke 3 days later. So that's
long weekend too. You've got zero excuse.
Oh, let's go get some free beer. I love it.
And it's $5 beers all night. I don't know how many places still have $5 beers. I went to a senior game and I had to pay $7.50 for a beer.
Well, you should have went to Kenniston on Sunday. They're rolling $5 drinks. They got a nice little tavern in the back.
The Blizz Lounge.
Hey, yeah. And there was let's shift it to senior hockey. They did a great job in Kenniston with Round Lake coming in because they couldn't get the Belcher. So they had to do it at home. I'm going to say 750, 800 people in that rink. Talk about doing a great job. It was one of the hardest senior games I've ever had to watch. Like the up, down, around people worrying, is COVID still a thing? Do they not want me breathing this close to them? It was intense, but you're a small town guy. It was just awesome to see
Kenniston took care of my Kyle Elks, and so that was disappointing. But again, great atmosphere, good series too, like good hockey. I love that about small towns is they're keeping it alive.
We got the senior hockey report coming up in hour 3, and we got Colton Yellow Horn from the Round Lake Bears coming up. Pretty special though if Round Lake can win it tomorrow night on the Ochapowace First Nation.
Yeah, that's I mean, for what they've built, hey, it's this. I like how people joke and the Yankees of senior hockey, but like what they've built special. I don't really care if people want to be like, oh, they're buying a championship. Good. It makes if it's filling other teams' barns. Think of how much money Kenniston just made the other night. Like just unreal for them. I know they got the super draft. I know other teams can use it, but it's still good for senior hockey when people are investing in it. And I think that's really cool. Like junior hockey in Saskatchewan is something else. I've always thought whether it's the Dub, the SJ junior hockey in Sask is great, but senior hockey is second to none.
Did you see the barn? Did you see the video of the barn, the C6 for the Pat Canadians in Moose Jaw last night?
Yeah. Great. And I've seen the videos from Assiniboia too then. That's good. That's fun. Like when I was playing, it's not midget AAA, it's U17, U18, whatever they call it now. So we went up to Prince Albert and played the Mintos. And the Mintos were the 1 seed. And I remember that place being buzzing. I don't think the Raiders were great around then, but the Mintos were just a wagon. This is the year after. It was the Connor Ingram year. They went and won nationals and stuff. But I remember that place being buzzing. So that's cool to see, too. For minor hockey, there's some great stories that come out of it.
Yeah. Well, speaking of the Art Hauser tonight, Edmonton, Prince Albert, that place will be awesome. Okay, and then lastly, I know you have the World Hockey Report too. Are we thinking Vancouver and Calgary are cooked as getting into the playoffs? Are those game in hands going to come in? What are you thinking?
I honestly think Calgary's got a better chance than Vancouver. I don't know. I'm just not a Vancouver guy. I think that's a weird dynamic dressing room. There's just not a lot I feel comfortable with Vancouver outside of the fact that, we saw them have a good run last year. Maybe I'm still, drinking the Dustin Wolf Kool-Aid and want to see him just like steal a few, go on a run. I think that would be cool. I don't know. I'm not confident either of them.
Doesn't Quinn Hughes always look so disappointed and just disappointed in life? Every time he's doing a post-game interview or anything?
Yeah, he wants to be on the East Coast, of course.
Jersey.
He's sick of the rain. Have you ever been to Vancouver this time of year? It is. I tell so many people it's the most overrated place we go to. Every time we go, it's just raining. It's cloudy. It's gloomy. I can't stand it. Give me the 12 centimeters of snow we got last night over 48 hours of rain. Barney, I can't stand it.
That's the green beer talking, or else there's a gas leak in the basement of the Sass place right now. Because you can still golf. I'm taking the golf with a little sprinkle and some rain gloves instead of 11 inches of snow. All right.
It'll be gone, but I can't use my snowmobile. When am I supposed to, get out on the drifts?
So tomorrow people go to any co-op. They can pick up a ticket, $20, and get into the barn and have a chance to watch Saskatchewan defeat Colorado. Always a pleasure.
Hey. Love chatting lacrosse. Can't wait. It's going to be a good one. Rush Reimagine jerseys, too. They're breaking out special jerseys. And just a classic West Conference matchup. Colorado, Saskatchewan, the heavy hitters. It's going to be a blast.
Right on. Thanks, Cody. Have a good call tomorrow.
Always a pleasure.
Right on. Cody Janzen, voice of the Saskatchewan Rush, joining us on the Western Pizza guest hotline. It's Rush in Colorado tomorrow in 7 o'clock. Is it 7 o'clock? Puck drop, or is that 8 o'clock? Saskatchewan needs, like I said, Buffalo. Need to find out a way for Buffalo to lose 2 games. Get home field all the way through. Sports Cage, let's come back with a little ticker. We'll run down what's going on in and around Saskatchewan when we come back. We're streaming at sportscage.com on X and always 620 CKRM.
It's time for the Sports Cage Sports Ticker.
Yes, it is. Tonight, only one game in the SJHL. It goes down in Yorkton. Travel safe. Melville in town. Terriers trying to wrap up that series. And then they'll be able to sit and wait. A chance to rest. The other ones fire back up tomorrow. It's the Western Hockey League tonight. Our Western Hockey League reports are always for extreme hockey. They're into lacrosse now. They got baseball and baseball team kits. Anything you need at Umbrella Marketing. Extreme Hockey, they're local. They've been here for you. Tonight in Prince Albert, Edmonton's in. We talked to Huntsy yesterday. If you're close by that facility, go. It'll be electric in there. Edmonton, Prince Albert, going to be a good series. I think that's, if there's one that goes 6-7 in that first round, I'm picking that one. Saskatoon traveling into Calgary, game 1 against the Hitmen. The one that Sharky picked as the upset, Lethbridge, powerful Lethbridge squad. Caden Price. Who else? Well, they have Yager from Moose Jaw there. Goaltending is solid. Lethbridge, Brandon, they start in Lethbridge. And then in Medicine Hat, Swift Current, they're taking on Goliath, the Medicine Hat Tigers. We got Jon Keen coming up to start hour 3, our WHL Insider. And there was some news out of Medicine Hat today that probably has Tiger fans a little bit uneasy when it comes to Caden Lindstrom because of Gavin McKenna. Caden Lindstrom allegedly is heading to play college hockey next year. Columbus Blue Jackets 4th overall selection last June. Will that be the big one that triggers a Gavin McKenna to say it's been real, but WHL, I'm out. And we talked about a lot of the big teams haven't made any big moves. The Michigans, the Bostons, Denvers. Is this going to be the start? Talk to Keener about that in hour 3, along with expansion, and get some predictions from him as well. Tonight, senior hockey, Qu'Appelle Valley Highway Hockey League Championship Series continues. Lumsden leads 2-1. A chance to wrap it up in Raymore. The Rockets are trying to stay alive, force a game number 5 there. And then in the Long Lake Hockey League, Foam Lake is hosting Drake in game 3. It's been quite the break for the Drake Canucks. That series is tied 1-1 as well. Fort Knox going to play Saskatoon in the Prairie Junior Hockey League playoffs. That one's starting up in Saskatoon, and then they shift it back here next weekend for home games in the Fort. So a little rundown there, ticker for you to get it by. Pat Canadians, they'll play Thursday. And by the looks of the schedule, Colson, I think, did you have that or we had that up? I think by the looks of it, Pat Canadians play first the Winnipeg Wild, which all accounts, Winnipeg is the other strong team at the regionals. Kenora, they're hosting. Don't know enough about them. Just heard that they're not as strong as Winnipeg. And then Thunder Bay. So the Pat Seas, they'll ship out on Tuesday after their win last night. And from how it looks, again, 936-62-62, if you know something I don't, that they'll play the Winnipeg Wild first at regionals with a chance to go to the TELUS Cup. On Fridays, it is for Nelson Homes, supplying home packages and RTMs for over 65 years. Like I said, we're going to start hour 3 talking WHL with Jon Keen. It is the Sports Cage on the home of sports in Saskatchewan, 620 CKRM. Why wouldn't you want to spend your last hour of Friday, if you do get off work at 6 or on your way home with the Sports Cage? What we got coming up? Jon Keen, WHL Insider, right away. Senior Hockey Report. We're going to hear again from the Pat Canadian players after last night's big win, provincial championship banner. Colton Yellow Horn from the Round Lake Bears, also in this hour. And then if you missed the Brad Jacobs interview, skip of Team Canada starting tomorrow in Moose Jaw, Ford World Curling Championships. We'll have the Brad Jacobs interview the back half of this hour. But let's go out on the Western Pizza guest hotline. Driving home right now, stop in, grab yourself a Western Pizza, pickup special, or any of the Greek favorites you like. And join Jon Keen. See, this could go sideways in a hurry from what you and Curtis were talking about pre-interview. You guys, I know he was asking you and telling you about the roads and the storm. It's one of those classic Sasky spring storm. You're a Lanigan guy. You get it. And of course, senior hockey playoffs. Just when you think you're out of the woods, you're not. Drake is in Foam. I know it's a swear word for you. Drake is in Foam Lake tonight going through the snow. You know what it's all about.
Yeah. It's the best time of year, right? It's the best time of year. When you think you're in the springtime, but winter draws you back in. I played golf yesterday here, so that was a fun time. And have you called the highway hotline yet and talked to your favorite buddy there yet?
No. I'm waiting for an update. What's going on around Sintaluda, and if there's windrows on the road.
Windrows on the road by Piapot. Yeah. He has the best job in Saskatchewan media, I think. That guy. I mean, he is name a better job where you get higher profile in the wintertime.
I'm trying to think. What highway number was it 32? Swift Current to Abbey, Cabri, Leader.
Was that 37 or 32? 32, I think, went down to Shaunavon, didn't it?
I'm going to punch it up right now. I need to know this. I need to know this. It is 32. Yeah. You veer off the number 1 there, and then you hit, was it Cantor? Success.
Cantor,
Pennant.
Yeah.
And then you roll through Cabri. Skeleton, Skeleton, how you doing? And then you're into Abbey. You're right into the mixer there. Okay, let's start with the news today. Like, if you're in Medicine Hat, how worried are you after the news came down that Caden Lindstrom looks like he's going to play at Michigan State?
Yeah, Aaron Portsline reporting that out of Columbus. He's a pretty trustworthy guy. The thing for me about Caden Lindstrom is, will he play hockey next year too? Like, bad back, like that takes a long time to you're always going to have question marks. And if, in Columbus, MSU is probably an hour, 2 hour drive. Ohio State is right in Columbus. I think if anything, it's an opportunity for the Blue Jackets to keep an eye on him. And these NHL teams have a lot of access to rehab and different things that the junior hockey teams don't have. And we had a player in Kamloops trying to rehab an injury, spend most of his time in Pittsburgh with the Penguins, trying to get that done. So I think it might be more of just we're not sure about his hockey future. We don't know where he's at with his back. So let's keep him nearly close in the mix so he can get back and forth to Columbus and to the Blue Jackets organization if need be.
I wonder too, a little bit, Keener, is the lesser of a load when it comes to the Western League, right? Like that, they say it's as close to the National League with the travel and how many games you play. And then the college, the travel's less. A lot of times, you might be chartering planes and then you don't play as many games. So is that maybe a thing where Columbus is like, come try this?
Maybe, but he missed a whole year of hockey. Like, these are still critical developmental times if you're 17, 18 years old. So, I think playing weekdays and every other day and every other night, sometimes in stretches is good for your development. But I get it, perhaps the load on a back injury. And if you ever had a bad back, like, that's one of the worst things you can have. And maybe you want to lighten that workload a little bit, but I don't think it's a jumping the ship type of a situation there. I just think it's a health, it's a rehab, it's a stay close to the NHL team scenario here, and that's kind of what I would view it at if Aaron Portzline's report turns out to be accurate. I don't have any reason to doubt that it is.
What does your gut say? Do you think Gavin McKenna plays in the Western Hockey League next year?
Yeah, I do. I do think he is in the Western League. Things change all the time, but people close to that organization are very confident he's a Tiger next year, and I don't want to put 2 exhibition games in Whitehorse as the be all end all, but I think a big factor is Gavin McKenna in that, and I know it in the big picture doesn't mean much in an agent driven world, but it's completely smart of the McKenna camp to sort of play both sides. Like, why would you want to rule anything out? Like, why would you want to just, put yourself into a box? I do think he's in Medicine Hat next year without anything changing. That'll be a really good team next season. They'll build around him again. And I fully see him in Medicine Hat next year for sure.
You can't go to a lot of hockey events in and around Regina these days. Last night, I'm sure you saw the video, Pat Canadians.
What venue? What rink was that? Where were you last night?
So have you been in the Cooperator Center?
Yeah.
So the C6 where the U of R Cougars play, men's and women's, and then the Rebels, and then the Pat Canadians play there. So it's got the kind of the one side, 1,472 is capacity. There was all of that.
Yeah,
in there. Like it. Great atmosphere. 2 good hockey teams, fast. You know the drill. A lot of those kids will be playing in the Western League next year. It was you can't go anywhere in Regina these days without people saying, okay, so are they going to get Maddox Schultz? And how's the lottery going to go? And all this. Yeah. And I've texted you. You've been my guy. I'm like, okay, you probably have to tell me 3 times. You dummy this down for me, Keener. The ping pong balls. Who's got the chances? But now we know, right? What's very interesting for you? Is it if Kelowna somehow gets the first pick? Is that the most interesting for you? For me, that is.
I think the odds are what, 17% after where they finished, which is not great. It could happen. But I think I somehow want to find a way for Maddox Schultz to play in Regina, in his hometown. Like, we went through an era here just a few years ago where Logan Stankoven, our hometown kid, he played here, and how important that was, not only for the Blazer organization, for the city. Like, it was electric to have a hometown guy, wearing that Blazer be here. And I think it'll be important for Regina to find a way. But right now, Kurt Hill, 57% chance the Edmonton Oil Kings have that go their way. What will Kurt Hill do? He's a smart guy. I think he'll listen to offers on that first pick, but it'll take a bunch of dynamite to blow that pick out of Edmonton. I don't see it happening unless sides get together. Yeah. Oh, I don't know. I just don't see Kurt Hill easily parting with a franchise player. And let's keep in mind that they can really build around this in Edmonton because they'll have I guess they'll have the 7th overall pick too in the draft because they have Seattle's pick. So they got balls in the air here, big time.
Oh, that is interesting. Kelowna gets it, and then they need the bodies and the the 19s that are going to be really good.
I was told about, you saw Maddox Schultz play, but I have it on your good authority that what kind of impact could he make in this league at 15? I was told from a pretty good evaluator that he could play in anybody's top 9 in the WHL next year and contribute. That's
top
basically
9?
Where they in their top 9.
Yes, I agree. Yeah. I agree. Like, you've never seen him play live?
I haven't. Nope.
Yeah. So, nothing like Bedard. Hits, physical.
Yep.
You just thick.
I've heard that.
He's a big. He made a play last night, and there was a lot of good hockey players on the ice last night. Like, no doubt. He made a play that, and not to say that I got a really good hockey eye or whatever, but just from watching what the kids are learning these days, on his edge to open up and make a play off his skate to his stick to the other guy, like, do. And I'm like, that's next level. And that would translate to any league. Like, you could put him in any league on that. There's obviously things to learn. I just think his hockey IQ, Keener, at 14, put himself in situations is different. So I totally agree. Top 9 easily on a lot of teams. That's interesting that you think Edmonton, and I think Edmonton, if you have it, you hold all the chips.
You do, and why would Edmonton want to do anybody favors? Why would the Oil Kings? All they've done so far is go from a complete teardown to a WHL championship to a complete teardown to a WHL championship. They've done it twice. Yeah. So they probably view this as that again. And I know, hey, we're all about keeping, the local kids in the local market. But when you're a special talent like that, I don't know what it would take. I don't know what it would take. I don't want to. Let's speculate for fun. Okay, let's speculate for fun.
Let's do it.
Let's say Regina maintains the 2nd overall pick. Edmonton has number 1. Okay, so they swap picks right there, 1-2.
Mm-hmm.
Edmonton gets a 2nd round, so the 2nd overall pick. Do they get, and now this is a complete speculation, and do they get 2 first-rounders in 26 and 27 and maybe a roster player? Maybe.
Ooh.
Maybe.
Oh, see,
they have the cards.
I was going to say a roster player and a 1 and then a 2.
No.
But do you think 2
Maybe.
2 1s?
Ooh. 2 1s.
Ooh.
Yeah, 2 1s. And you don't have to take it. You don't have to do the deal, but I think that's where we're at. I don't know. Again, I have not. I've talked to Kurt Hill. He thinks Maddox Schultz is a pretty special player.
Yeah.
And we'll see where that goes.
They're the guy selling the Eagle Talon that I always wanted. And then the guy knows I keep coming back. He knows he has me. That's an inside joke. Okay, let's Chilliwack. Are the Vancouver Canucks going to own this team? Can they own this team?
They could. They got to buck up, though. They'll have to pay the piper. And I think this process now that they've entered into will allow some potential ownership groups here to put their hat in the ring and see where they're at. I mean, if we are looking at a Penticton expansion fee of around $15 million, then that's what the tag will likely be. I just think it makes so much sense for the Canucks, to have that corridor. And by the way, I was listening on your earlier segment with Cody, the fact that he undervalues Vancouver. I mean, I'm from Saskatchewan. I'm not undervaluing that at any time of the year.
What did you like my rebuttal about golfing and a little bit of rain? I'll take it.
Completely.
If we're doing the radio trade game like you guys were doing off thing, Vancouver's on my trade to go to list.
If Cody's blowing out Vancouver, I got a crash for him here waiting to happen for sure. So
Kyle, Saskatchewan, right?
That's back on track. Yeah. Back on track here. Vancouver makes a lot of sense. You got the Canucks in downtown Van, you got the Abbey Canucks in Abbotsford, and then about 20 minutes down the road, down that quarter, Highway 1, you'd have the Chilliwack Canucks. I don't know, the Chilliwack, whatever, but we'll see where that goes.
Yeah, you know the area obviously really well, and you know out there what after that, does it stop? Is there anywhere else? Everyone of course is talking about, okay, now what about out east? What about where? I know Fort McMurray, Winnipeg. We already tried that. I don't know. And then is that enough teams? Because how many more do they have than the O and the Q after we add those two?
Well, I mean, you'd be at 24. The OHL, there's talk about taking in a couple teams there for the USHL.
Yeah.
But apparently the NHL has said, whoa, pump the brakes on this stuff. Let's figure out something that works for everybody so one league isn't rating the top franchises from the other league. And you think about it, that's what the WHL did to the BCHL. They basically made their flagship programs the 23rd and 24th state, in this case franchises, right? They did the old annexation, if you will, of two top franchises.
Okay, last one for you, Keener. If we're looking across the playoffs here, East and West, will there be a couple of first round upsets? And if so, which ones do you think we could see?
I could see out West. I could see there's a 4-5 out here. That's a Portland Prince George. And for whatever reason, Portland has Prince George's number. It's a 2-3-2 series because that series is the kilometers between those two is wild. So I could see that one, Barney. A wild upset would be 8-1 out here, Seattle and Everett. It doesn't matter where these two teams are seated. They're rivals. There's not a lot of love, and that changes things in a playoff series. I don't think it happens, but it could. And out East, I mean, you look at those matchups, I don't really see... and I think you referenced it early, the Edmonton-Prince Albert series. Would we even call that an upset? I know it's a 2-7 bracket, but would we really even, if Edmonton won that series in 6 or 7, would we think that's an upset? I don't think so.
All right, buddy. Well, you got me jealous because you're golfing. There's no doubt about it. I'm thinking about how much
I'm jealous of that. I'm jealous of that shirt. You got a great country shirt on today.
I'm going to a country.
You look like you're going two-stepping tonight.
I'm going to a country western concert tonight. That's why.
Oh.
With Mrs. S.
Playing? What do you got?
Scotty McCreery at the casino. He's playing arenas. Oh. There was nowhere else for him to play in Regina, so the casino got him. Sold out like that.
Nice.
Yeah, a little damn
Looks
straight.
Like you could either do that. You could find a little Wood Mountain Rodeo and Lane Frosted up there. You got a good cowboy shirt on tonight.
What a soundtrack. 8 seconds. Oh, McBride and the Ride. Let's go. Keener, let's catch up in a few weeks, buddy. Thank you.
Okay, good chat today. Have a good weekend.
WHL insider Jon Keen. Great follow on Twitter if you want to stay up to date with the WHL. Let's go to break. It's the Sports Cage. Streaming at sportscage.com. The Senior Hockey Report is brought to you by our friends at Future Ford in Melville. New units arriving daily and premium used vehicles to fit any budget and lifestyle. The future is Future Ford. You can see them at futureford.ca. And have you ever wanted to gamble on senior hockey? You can. Coolbet.com is where it's at. They got Big Six. They got Long Lake. They're adding leagues. Go on there. You can bet on senior hockey. It's unbelievable. Coolbet.com, sponsors of the Senior Hockey Report. I saw Future Ford when we were in Melville on Tuesday. Should have stopped in there for a copy. Thanks to Future Ford in Melville for sponsoring the Senior Hockey Report and Coolbet. We'll get to some odds here in a second. Things are all wrapped up provincial-wise except for A and D. In D, Redvers up 1-0 on Edam, the long drive. Take on Edam tomorrow. Coppell Valley Highway Hockey League. Lumsden leads the series 2-1 on Raymore. They're at the launch pad tonight in Raymore for that when they try and stay alive and force a game number 5. Also, League Championship Series. In the Long Lake Hockey League, Foam Lake hosting Drake. It's game 3. The series is tied 1-1. They haven't played in a long time. It's a little bit weird. And I left this one for the end. Yes, tomorrow at the Chief Denton Memorial on Ochapowace First Nation. Round Lake, Kenaston, Game 2, the Provincial A Championship Series. A chance for the Round Lake Bears to hang a banner, to win the Provincial A banner. Cool bet right now. Round Lake plus 125. Those odds are crazy. I don't know what they know. Kenaston, did Kenaston bringing somebody in? Round Lake looks healthy. They look good last week. So I'm looking at cool bet right now, plus 125. Round Lake. Speaking of the Round Lake Bears, you're in for a treat if you like senior hockey and you follow that team. Coming up after the break, our Indigenous Sports Spotlight for our friends at Freeze Tallman Lumber in Regina and Fort Capel. Big supporters of First Nations sports across Saskatchewan. We have forward from the Round Lake Bears, Colton Yellow Horn, coming up. And then after that, we're going to replay the Brad Jacobs interview. Ford World Curling Championship starting this weekend. Still a lot to come on the Sports Cage. Streaming at sportscage.com on X. And as always, on the home of Saskatchewan Sports, 620 CKRM. We had the senior hockey reports last segment. Big weekend in a couple of rinks, as always, in Saskatchewan. Welcome back to Caesar with me here. It's now time for the Indigenous Athlete Spotlight. And going back to the senior hockey field, we're going with Round Lake Bears forward, former Western Hockey League, played in Lethbridge, plays AAA midget with the Notre Dame Argos, Lethbridge Hurricane, Tri-City American, then a lengthy pro career, Colton Yellow Horn, 37-year-old from Brockett, Alberta, one of the mainstays for the Round Lake Bears, who have a chance to hang that banner again next weekend. It's for Freeze Tallman Lumber in Regina and Fort Capel right now. You can book your garage packages with Freeze Tallman. They got garage packages starting at under $14,000. Call FTL, get some pricing, see if they have what works for you. Book by June 30th. For 2025 completion on all garage packages with Freeze Tallman Lumber, supporters of First Nation sports across Saskatchewan. All right, Colton, special chance tomorrow out on the Ochapowace First Nation to hang a banner, to win the Provincial A banner for the Round Lake Bears. Just can you put it into words why it's special for you, why it's special for that team to have this chance?
Yeah, I just think it's really exciting times, just the things we're doing, trying to help bring Native communities together across Canada. I think last year when we started this thing, we didn't realize how big it would get and continue to grow. So it's pretty exciting, to give younger kids on the reserve something to look up to and try to be good role models for them. And obviously trying to bring hockey back, right? Yeah.
How did this all start last year? How did the Round Lake, for you personally, what do you remember about how it started, maybe that first phone call?
Well, it started the year before playing those big Indian tournaments, or Native tournaments, I guess. I don't know what the proper term is nowadays, but yeah, we're playing in those, and they talked about maybe trying to get in the league and stuff, and just obviously didn't work out getting in the league, and then they said, well, we can try to do provincial. So I said, if you guys can get in, I'm definitely in for it, and I'm excited for it. So I was able to get into that provincial category, and it's been exciting ever since, right? It was fun to be part of the first year, and hopefully we can get it done this year and make it complete.
What do you think you guys learned from going through the process last year?
I think you need depth. I think the biggest thing was the depth. I don't think we were deep enough last year, especially when you get to those couple later rounds. You need those third line and those fifth, sixth D man, right? I think this year we really stepped it up on the D core for sure. And like they say, D wins you championships, right? And I think we have one of the better D cores I've seen in a long time in senior hockey. So it's special. So, and then obviously, goaltending, we picked up a couple. We have two really good goaltenders that we put in any time. And I think that's the biggest learning curve of it all.
Yeah, no, for sure. Depth is the one thing that I've been seeing from you guys, but just the makeup of the team as well. It's funny because you guys don't play together all year in a league, but yet when you're on the ice, and whether it's you and Ripper, who's new this year, or you and Gervais, or Trent Campbell, it seems like there's chemistry there. Are you guys working on that as much, or is it more just, athletes being athletes, Colton?
I think the most part is just athletes being athletes. Like, we've all played higher level hockey, you know. It's just, I think we have some good hockey IQ and just being able to read off each other. But we'll talk about it before games, right? And talk about, you know, where each person likes to be in our tendencies, right? And you kind of learn from each tendency, each game. You learn from each guy, right? But the biggest thing is, like, this year, like, we had some guys that, you know, team haven't showed up through some of the games. So it seemed like the first 2 rounds, you're playing with a new guy or 2 new guys every game, right? So it was difficult that way.
You know, you're 37 years old, so, you know, 37 nowadays is a lot different than 37 years ago. You're still out there looking good. But Ben, I'm going to talk about a guy like Trent Campbell. Like, that guy's played so many high-level senior games. He's out there. It's almost like watching Ovechkin when you watch an NHL. He just kind of slows it down, right? And his hockey IQ really takes over.
Yeah, it's just. Yeah, it's a different game, right? You know, and just the older you get, you learn the adult game, I guess, right? Like, for example, like the Fred Sass-Moose tournament, it's a big tournament. A lot of these teams try to get these young WHL guys to come in and play, but it's a whole different game, the senior game, than it is the junior game, where the junior game, it's all systems. Everything is a system, right? Where it's kind of freelance when you get to the senior hockey, especially in those tournaments. So you just kind of learn how to adapt between both of those.
You talked about it earlier, you know, and you know, having the kids and the youth, and then just all these First Nations from across the country rallying, whether they're watching online or it's the social media aspect. The fan support, it was heavy last year, it was big last year, and it just grew this year. You know, what are you guys talking about as a team and in the dressing room, or maybe, you know, amongst each other, just about all this fan support and how it's grown?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy how big it got and how fast it got, right? You know, and that like last year there was people watching from Nova Scotia and the States and stuff like that. It was crazy. It's just, I think a lot of it helps that we're kind of all from different areas and we have different backgrounds as a Native community, you know, and non-Natives, right? So our friends want to be able to watch. Like, I got family back home watching the games online, so it's thankful for Shawnee Bear for going live last year and this year and stuff, right? Where family gets to watch. But yeah, my last few years of pro, I played, like, we get more fans at our home games here than we did at those games. So it makes it exciting to play again. So
speaking of that, there's been some real interesting games. You know, I remember going back to last year and, you know, Lumsden and how packed that barn was. And, you know, this year you played in Fort Qu'Appelle. But I don't know if I've ever seen anything like Kenaston, and how they, you know, tried to jam as many people into that one last weekend. Just as a player coming on the ice, it must have felt a little tight because people were jammed in there like sardines.
Yeah, it is. Those smaller barns are tight. Like last year, I think it was Carlisle. They were lined up 4 or 5 hours before the game. You had to get your tickets at 9 a.m. That was crazy to see, like, a small barn like that and hold that many people, right? And it's crazy. It's Saskatchewan senior hockey. It's a different breed for sure. Like in Alberta, there's maybe 15 teams in all of Alberta play, but the Saskatchewan, there's over 100. So it's crazy. It's crazy the passion that they have for the game there, and then, you know, the pride everyone has in those small towns, those smaller communities, right? It's awesome to see. I wish that was more in Alberta as well.
And then, yeah, tomorrow, you know, let's go back to that. It's kind of fitting that you guys have a chance to win it at home on Ochapowace, get that banner. I don't want to look too far ahead, but, you know, for you guys, the kind of stars are aligning to do it at home.
Yeah, it's, you know, who would have planned it this way? Everyone wants to win at home, right? But at the same time, you know, there's supposed to be, from what I'm hearing, there's supposed to be about 3,000 fans in attendance tomorrow. So we just got to control our emotions and just play the game, right? That's a good team across the rink from us. So, you know, they're not just going to give it to us. They're going to come out and play hard. So we got to be prepared for that and try block out all the noise from the outside and just focus on that game.
Right on, Colton. Well, I know you're busy calving out there in Alberta, and then, you know, get the hockey bag, and then you come this way. It's a pretty wild ride. It's been really interesting to watch. Best of luck tomorrow, and travel safe.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Puck drop tomorrow, 5:30, Denton George Memorial Arena on the Ochapowace First Nation. Like Colton said, they're expecting upwards of 3,000 people tomorrow night for that Provincial A Game 2, the Kenaston Blizzard and the Round Lake Bears. Should be a good one. Again, thanks so much to Freeze Tallman, Lumber in Regina and Fort Qu'Appelle for sponsoring the Indigenous Sports Spotlight here on the Sports Cage. Right now, garage packages with FTL. If you're thinking about a garage this spring or summer, they have them starting under $14,000. You can call Fries Tallman in Fort Qu'Appelle or Regina. This is the Sports Cage. We're streaming at sportscage.com, and we are on the home of sports in Saskatchewan, 620 CKRM.